With Nigeria's number of new cases skyrocketing in recent weeks and the nation crossing the 100,000 mark for total infections, schools across the country have complied with the federal government's directive to reopen today. Now, in Lagos State, academic activities resumed amid fears over rising cases of COVID-19. Turnout of students resuming for the new term was low in some schools, while in some others, many students were seen not wearing their mask. Neither were they practicing social distancing. And during an inspection tour by Lagos State Commissioner for Education, some other schools were seen to be compliant with COVID-19 safety protocols. There have been mixed reactions by different professional bodies on the decision to reopen schools amid the pandemic. And joining me now to discuss these developments is TVC News correspondent Sharon Ijaso. Sharon, schools have now resumed today amid concerns of a new variant and a rising number of infections. Talk to us about what your observation, how compliant are these schools with the protocol?
We found out that some students were compliant, while some others were not compliant. We had students who were not practicing social distancing at the point of the entrance of the school. We had some schools that does not have running water in the school compound, and so also were able to find some schools that had lots of water or lots of points where they could find water in the school.
All right, so Sharon, for these schools that are seen not to be compliant, for example, you just talked about the fact that some schools do not have water, running water in their schools. Is there any level of monitoring, any enforcement to ensure that these protocols are strictly adhered to?
Of course, the Lagos State Commissioner for Education monitored schools in Lagos this morning, and most of the schools she visited are actually COVID-19 compliant in terms of safety. But so also there were some schools that I and the school visited, and they were not compliant. Of course, lots of training and retraining has gone into the school system before resumption. But this is of note to also remind us that some other states did not resume today. States like Edo, Anambra did not resume today. We also had Enugu State that made sure that there were 2 nurses at every school or at every point to ensure that the teachers who have been trained in terms of COVID-19 guidelines are also monitored. Most parents are a little apprehensive, but some are also excited that the students are back in school. But in terms of the safety guidelines, there's no total compliance. So also the turnout this morning was a little bit poor. We didn't have a lot of students on the street trying to access education. But maybe perhaps before the weeks run out, maybe more parents will release their words to the school.
So for the monitoring, you said the Commissioner of Education in Lagos State went round to monitor and supervise this reopening. So for schools that were not compliant, is there any sort of penalty or consequence?
Well, we know that we have both public and private schools in Lagos State, and we have more private schools. Most of the public schools that were visited by the Commissioner for Education in Lagos State were compliant. But like I said before, there were other schools that the CDC News team visited whereby they were not COVID-19 compliant. So it's also a reawakening call that this monitoring will not have to be a one-day exercise. But I'm also aware that the Lagos State government has a staggered resumption, so more information will be passed to parents during the course of schooling during the semester.
Sharon, just before we let you go, also talk to us about how they are ensuring that there is a level of social distancing among students in classes.
Like, for example, today, what I saw today, because there was no turnout, maybe that's the reason why we have enough social distance in the classroom. But of course, there is still the need for more awareness and training for the students to understand what the global world is faced with, which is the health pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. Because even though the government might have ensured that there is social distance within the classroom, when the students have break times, when they are going back home, or when they are going to school, they work in groups and they don't wear their nose mask. So, of course, from my observation today, I could say on the average, there was social distance. But the truth remains that there's a lot of work to be done on students themselves to understand the implication of their actions if they refuse to adhere
to the safety guidelines by the NCDC.
All right, Sharon, we'll continue to monitor how the level of compliance in these schools over the week. Thank you so much, Sharon, for the updates. Our